right, welcome back to Beyond the Claim, Unfiltered Insurance and Adjuster Talk. Now, this podcast is for homeowners who want to protect their most valuable asset, their home. Today, we are tackling a tough but real issue, layoffs. I want to address homeowners, and I also want to address farmers. I have some information for both that I think I'm not going to say think, I know will help you out, will get you started and get you thinking in the right direction. Because today, I think our word is called pivot. You're going to have to learn to pivot. You're also going to have to learn how to start reading the room, listening and understanding what is going on in our economy today. So we've seen waves of layoffs across different industries. Do not think it cannot happen to your industry. When those paycheck stops, homeowners feels it first. So what should you do if you are laid off? Stay tuned. Here we go. I'm going to deal with homeowners first. What should you do if you're laid off and you still have a mortgage, insurance, and bills coming in? Let's break it down step by step. First, you definitely want to make sure you call your mortgage servicer right away. Don't wait until you have a missed payment. Many lenders have hardship programs, forbearances, loan modifications that are available. I do know that recently my nephew was selling his home here in Atlanta, and he needed a forbearance. And he called them and they told him, hey, we will give you a forbearance until November. But at the same time, he was selling his home, but he needed a forbearance because he needed to go ahead and move out because he had some other situations going on. So he had to move to another location, right? So he moved out. He got that forbearance, and he doesn't have a mortgage payment until November. Now, those things come in handy. But one of the things I want you all to know ahead of time, homeowners, we can't be reactive to things anymore. You're going to have to read the room, read the headlines. Layoffs are going on in all industries. I recently spoke with my cousin who works, she's in the medical field. She's an occupational therapist. At her facility that she works at, she said they just started having layoffs. People are leaving. They're letting people go. And she said she could not believe that was happening, So I want homeowners to know you're going to have to start reading the room. We can't be reactive. We got to begin to start being proactive. So definitely already, if you're not laid off, you can always still call your servicer and ask your servicers about different programs that they may have. Just in case. You just never know in this market, because I feel that there's like a memo going around to all these companies at one time. Everybody's getting a memo. Oh, we need to lay off. We need to lay off. We need to cut. We need to cut. We need to tighten up. If they are cutting and tightening up, that's the same thing we have to do as homeowners. We need to tighten up and start to release things that we don't need, right? Like the extra cable, or those other necessities that we don't need. We know a difference between a need and necessities, right? Or I would say luxury items. Okay. Now, make sure you call your servicer, understand what programs they may have, take advantage of them. Now, if you have some cushion saved up, you can go ahead and, start if you want to continue to make those mortgage payments, or if you want to try to make that cushion last a little bit longer, you want to take advantage of that program first and then hit your cushion or your savings. That's the strategy. So you're going to have to really begin to strategize and say to yourself, how would this work for me if I was laid off? You're going to have to read the room. You have to understand what is going on in our market today. Layoffs are happening everywhere. Hey, let me just bring this clip to the stage for you, so this is real. This is real. Just take a look at this and understand what's happening here. They're happening everywhere. and no one.
More than 600 people in Memphis will soon be out of a job after FedEx took new steps towards massive layoffs. This raises concerns about the broader impact on the local economy. ABC 24's Lauren Turman is here with more. And Lauren, you spoke with a local union leader about what this could mean for Memphis moving forward.
I did, Pepper, and while most FedEx employees aren't unionized, local unions here in Memphis still shared valuable insight into working conditions across the city and how major layoffs like this one could shift the entire job landscape. One union leader told me this could be yet another blow to an already fragile job market here in Memphis.
See, this is what I want you all to understand and see. You don't have to be laid off right now in order to start taking precaution, in order to start cutting back, to get yourself a safety net, start putting money aside for just in case, right? Now, okay, step 2. You want to protect your credit as long as you can. Now, I know myself, I was out of work for more than 6 months, and it's hard to protect your credit if you're out of work more than 6 months. Yes, I did have a little bit of a cushion, but at the same time, I was running a failing logistics company at the same time. So a lot of my cushion I had was disappearing very quickly. So, and then once my cushion was gone, my credit began to falter. So I do say, if you all can protect your credit, late mortgage payments will crush your score and make it hard for you to refinance later. Now, I did know that the feds did do what was it? I can't remember. They did reduce the interest rate. They did an interest rate cut. I can't remember exactly what the number was, but you do want to make sure, okay, well, hey, let me see how that will work for me. Sometimes some people that have maybe a 30-year mortgage say, you know what, let me take advantage of that interest rate cut. They may be able to right now refinance to a 15-year mortgage, and payments may be lower or about the same, but you shaved off 15 years. You went to a 15-year mortgage. I'm going to tell you, just go ahead and start shopping around and taking a look at what your options are, so you can take advantage of the Fed cuts and the rates that have happened. Right? You also want to keep at least your housing and insurance at the top of your priority list, especially your insurance. And the reason why I say that, yes, I am a claims adjuster, but I'm gonna tell you one thing: when those storms come in, that insurance comes in handy. You want your house back in order. You want everything back going smoothly. That's the last thing you want, is to be out of a job and you have no insurance. So the main 2 things at the top, me personally, is going to be your home and also that insurance, to keep that insurance and that home paid. Right? All right. Now, step 3, you do want to look into relief programs from your unemployment benefits to local housing nonprofits. There are safety nets that can give you some breathing room. Now, one of the things I will say is that sometimes we have pride. Sometimes we don't want to look like beggars because we've never been in this situation before, or it's been a long time since we've been in this situation. I will say, put that pride to the side. Ask for help. Start asking for help. Look at all the different organizations in your area. One organization may be able to cover 2 months for you, and another organization, you can piece those resources together and get yourself up to like 6 months of help. You're just going to have to put that pride aside and ask for help. And that's going to be the biggest thing. Because I know with me, I'm going to be honest with you, I have a little bit of pride when it comes to that area, because, lately in my life, I've been able to handle things. I've been putting my kids through college, doing all kinds of things. But with this thing shifting, with how unstable being an independent adjuster has been for me the last, I'm going to say 2 years now. And then also with my failing logistics business that I had to close at some point, it was hard for me to ask for help because I couldn't normally do it, right? I couldn't normally keep everything going, and because I was working, had a pretty decent salary coming in, that if I need to pay for something, or if my truck broke down, or if I need it, I can always pull from my salary, or I can get credit. Now, I will say this: if you don't need that credit, don't get it. Leave that credit alone. One of the things that you want to do is focus on paying off your stuff. Focus on paying that stuff off to where you do not have to worry about that. I wish I could have paid off my commercial truck, but I couldn't. The cars weren't in the number for me, but I've seen where there are some people who own their trucks right out. So if you got that one overhead out the way, oh my gosh, it makes life so much easier for you. And that's another thing that homeowners can do. You want to take a look at how you can pay this house off, that the only thing that you have to pay are those taxes. That's going to be key for you. We have to really start thinking outside the box, right? Now, step 4, don't cut insurance first. I know it feels tempting, man. When I tell you, I've been there myself, but a disaster strikes, you won't have the coverage. The financial fallout is much worse when you're just uncovered, right? Now, remember, losing a job most of the time is temporary, but losing your house can set your family back for decades. Homeowners, to me personally, are the backbone of this economy. Protecting your roof over your head should be your first move. Now, I just want to shift just a little bit for you. Homeowners and farmers, you cannot put all your eggs in one basket. Those days are over with. We cannot sit up here and rely on what used to be or rely on these jobs. We do know that these jobs are not loyal. They will take us out of here as quickly as possible. Look, you guys, I am an independent adjuster. I normally work throughout the whole year. I normally work with a particular farm, and I'm normally working, right? But it hasn't been like that. It has become a trend. This year, we got back to work. We were so happy. Everybody's happy. Do you know they kept us on maybe, I would say, 2.5 months? And we all are back out of work. And I was like, okay, if anything that we have learned, we understand that we cannot depend on this. This right here, we cannot depend on anymore. We have to shift. We have to pivot. You're going to have to do the same thing. You're going to start thinking outside the box. What type of business can you start? I don't care if it's a candle business. I know a young lady who has a candle business, started her candle business. She go out on the weekends. She bring in about $800 to $900 a weekend with doing her candles. That can help pay a mortgage payment, a car payment. That can, we got to learn to pivot and start tapping into our God-given ideas, our creativity, and we have to make it into a business. We cannot have these jobs as our main source of income. We can't do that. And listen, you cannot wait until it's too late. You may be working right now. That doesn't mean you can't start looking and pivoting and seeing what else you need to do. Because me personally, no industry is safe. Now, I want to talk to farmers. So farmers, you were also on my mind, and I was just taking a look at the different farmers that was on the news, asking the government for help. And I was like, you know what? Farmers, you're going to have to pivot too. Just like homeowners going to have to pivot, you're going to have to pivot. One thing I'm going to tell homeowners, I'm going to tell farmers, do not let them take your land. Do not let them take your home. Me personally, this is a learning moment for farmers and for homeowners. We have to open up our eyes and we have to read the room and understand what is going on here. Now for farmers, I did look up some things. You probably already know this, of some steps that you can take. Listen, the first thing that you can do, you can tap into grant programs like RAPP, which is called Regional Agricultural Promotion Program. You also do have a USDA export promotion. Those are programs that you have. You can also shift crop mix. I don't know if you ever thought about that. If soybeans are heavily tariffed, consider switching some of your acre to crops with less exposure or more stable domestic demands. You know what happens in these moments? These are teachable moments where we begin to understand that you can't put all your eggs in one basket. You cannot do that. You're going to have to make the shift. These are teachable moments, and these are moments that you got to fight hard. You're going to have to tap into every single program to keep your product, to keep your land, to keep your home. And then also, in the meantime, you got to understand. I was listening to this one guy here. Let me play this for you, because he's a farmer, and he was talking about how how his things were paid off. Let me just bring this farmer here to the stage. Let me just bring this to the stage for you so you can understand where you need to do and what you need to do going forward here. All right.
Hundreds of farmers in Arkansas gathered at a town hall last week to ask Congress for help. Mounting debt, aging equipment, and disappearing profits are making it nearly impossible for them to break even, let alone to turn a profit. One of those farmers calls the president's tariffs, quote, the ice cream on top of a cake of a perfect storm. He joins us now, Arkansas farmer Scott Brown, who attended last week's town hall. Scott, really good to have you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Tell me about what's happening with your farm.
Well, we've got a real disaster with this tariff deal. I mean, we produce 40% more agricultural products in this country than we can consume domestically. 1 in every 4 rows of soybeans in every field in the entire United States of America has to go abroad. China is the largest importer of soybeans in the world. They import 61% of the world's market. Last year, we sent around $12 billion, I think $14 billion worth of soybeans the year before. For the first time in 20 years, China's bought 0 soybeans and 0 new crop corn out of this country.
0?
So we went from 12 billion to 0.
Where are they buying the soybeans?
Brazil. You see, we lost 42% of our market share in the first tariff war. In Trump's first tariff war, the Chinese went to buying their soybeans from Brazil. They invested billions of dollars in Brazilian infrastructure. They have moved into Africa, and they're going to commercially farm in Africa. Since we left with USAID, they moved their Belt and Road program into Africa. So we've pretty much lost the Chinese market share. If we got 100% of the soybean business, Katie, for every country in the world except for Brazil and Argentina, we would still only have half the soybean business that China is.
Are you getting 100% of everything else?
Yeah, if we got 100% of everything else, we would still only have half the Chinese business.
Well, what are you getting right now if you're not getting China? Are you getting every other market out there?
Or probably some other countries, and the market's pretty stifled. Most of our soybeans here go to the Mississippi River. It's the closest place to market them. They're going to go downriver and go overseas somewhere at some point. Beans are about $10.28 on the board today. We're going to get 40 cents behind that as a basis because the elevators are going to want to control their hedge. It's going to cost us 50 or 60 cents in a truck to get there, so we're getting in the low 9s. In Purdue University will tell you it takes $12.03 to raise them.
Okay, so you farm soybeans. You farm 800 acres.
Yes,
you know, $0 coming from China. That's a problem. How are you going to pay your bills? Are you turning a profit? Are you breaking even?
I hope to break even this year. I farm so little, I farm by myself. My tractors are all paid for. They're old. They're 50 years old. My tractors were all made in the 70s. My combine was made in 1997. I cut a load of beans, put it in the truck, and haul it to the river myself. So I've got a lot less cost than most of these boys. I've got friends that farm 5,000 and 6,000 and 7,000 acres that have $1 million combines and 10 guys at $50,000 or $60,000 a guy trying to make this to break even. I don't know how they're going to do that. Time you put interest on a crop loan, you know, this entire crop went into the ground in Arkansas below the University of Arkansas's production. That means no rice, no corn, no beans, no Milo, no peanuts, no anything would generate a profit at current inputs and the fall market prices.
One of the key things to me that he said is that his tractors are paid off. They may be old, but they're paid off and they're still working. And I can tell you, to me, some of those older equipment, they work better than the newer ones. It's just sometimes hard to get those parts if anything happened. But those older equipments, even in the trucking business, they're outlasting the new things, right? So I do just want to make clear, listen, farmers, fight for your land. Don't let them take it. I believe that there's a bigger picture at play here regarding your land. I really do. So you're going to have to fight like hell to keep your land. Now, listen, you got value-added agricultural process, some output locally, package, brand locally, sell direct to marketers, farmers markets, local groceries. You're going to have to learn to pivot. And And I know it's going to be a hard pivot, it's going to be a hard shift. But one thing you're going to have to understand is that don't put all your eggs in that basket anymore, and do not rely on the government. I was looking at some other podcasts and trying to understand where these farmers coming from. And I'll tell you another thing that I realized too is that I was looking at a black farmer, and he said that a lot of the resources that should have been out there for them that they didn't get, they wouldn't let them qualify for. And he said it almost turned out to be a perfect thing for them because they don't have those loans, they don't have those payments, their land is paid for, their homes are paid for, they just had to work harder. And one thing he said is do not rely on the government. He said, kick the man out of your pocket. Kick them out of your pocket. And that's what we have to understand as homeowners as well. We got to kick them out of our pockets. We got to pay this stuff off, and we have to own our things outright. I know they say, oh, you don't want to own your home, you won't get any taxes, when you file your taxes. Hey, that's fine. Let me own my property, because just in case anything happens, you can't come take it, right? Okay, for farmers, you can also join or form to minimize your costs, storage, shipping, or to get better bargaining power for exports. You want to join different organizations. Focus on efficiency, reduce waste, reduce input costs, like your fertilizers, your seed, your fuel. You want to adapt to technologies that improve yield per cost. Policy advocacy, organize with farmer groups to push for trade policies, subsidies, or assistance programs for farmers that are hurt by those tariffs. I did see where, Trump did say something about, oh, we can't do this to our farmers, but as of yet, I haven't seen anything differently that has come down the pipeline for these farmers, right? So this is why that black farmer said, do not rely on the government. And he also said, get the man out your pocket, meaning start owning your things right out. Stop getting these loans. It's just going to be a tough decision right now. It's a hard season, and it's a tough decision right now, but you're going to have to pivot. And I've also learned in life, when you have those tough seasons, it's just for that moment, and it's to shift you to better. Right? And listen, farmers used to see billions in soybean sales to China. Now zero. You can't just wait for relief. We have to pivot. You're going to have to pivot. Grants, like I said, with the RAPP are being offered right now to help and find new business, new buyers over here. That's why I was saying to myself, hey, y'all going to have to find some new buyers. Don't put all your eggs with China. Don't put everything in, and also look to start selling and planting other things. You can sell to South America, Southeast Asia, or even developed markets right here in the United States. You're going to have to pivot, and you're going to have to make this shift real quick, because you're going to have to try to survive. Right now, you're surviving, and you're going to be improvising. You're surviving and improvising. You're going to think about what you need to go ahead and start growing for next year, right? So what you can go ahead and make up for what happened this year. You're going to have to survive. Now, instead of planting more acres of soybean when tariffs are hurting your profits, consider growing something else. Maybe crops that local demand wants, or specialty crops, or process what you grow, jams, dried fruit, packaged goods, so you can sell at higher prices. You're going to have to pivot. That's going to be the word for today. Also, think about cooperating with other farmers to share storage, reduce shipping costs, get better terms for exports. Efficiency isn't glamorous, but when margins are tight, it can be the difference between keeping your land or being forced to give it up. And I'm telling you, you have to fight for that land, because I believe it's a whole other play that's in place for your land. Farmers, fight for your land. Don't rely on export markets or government bailouts. Build options, diversify buyers, reduce dependency, control your costs, and fight like hell for your farm and your home. Both your land is your income, because income stops, land becomes vulnerable. That's what I got for you today. We're going to fight like hell to keep what we have. And listen, I believe there's been like some type of memo that went out to all companies, do some type of layoff to really jack us up, to put us up under their thumb. That's not what we want. That's not what we want. All right. Last thing I want you all to understand. Listen, if you see something, say something. Report suspected child trafficking, child sex trafficking. That's what they want these kids for. Call the National Human Trafficking Hotline at 1-888-373-7888. Every voice matters. Every child deserves protection. All right. That's what I have for you today. Hey, let me know what your thoughts are on this. How are you going to pivot? Take care. I'll see you on the next episode.